just waiting, giving it a little second. Just giving it a little second before I introduce myself, because it takes a little while. Hi and welcome to School of Addiction, late night class in session. My name's Ashley Bloxham and I am an addictions therapist. I also specialise in trauma and childhood trauma massively. I've also overcame addiction myself, and I've got loved ones who struggled with addiction, and I've studied addiction intensely, so I've just got a 360-degree view of addiction, and I'm just creating a little space online to help people if they want to come chat, who might be in recovery or maybe need some support with addiction and mental health. So today I want to talk about connection. So one of the big things that I've noticed with people who struggle with addiction is somebody who's trained in trauma and childhood, I always assumed it was related back to childhood. But one common thread that I found with a few clients is that a lot of it comes out of boredom and a disconnection from feeling a part of something, having a little community. So tonight I was just sitting there thinking, I feel a little bit bored, I'm doom scrolling, and I thought actually it'd probably be good to come online, because I think part of my issue when I was in recovery early stages is I just didn't know what to do with myself, and I felt a little bit lonely, and feeling lonely is not a nice feeling to have. So I thought I'm gonna go online, because I think the difference between a phone call or a chat with somebody when you're feeling a bit rubbishy in recovery can make all the difference. And one of the things that I used to do was get in touch with one of my friends when I felt like, oh, I'm gonna get off the wagon, but sometimes that's not always available. So I don't know what's going on with my hair, just gonna have to rock it. Sometimes that's not always available, so I just thought I'd pop on. But yeah, it's so important to be able to connect with people, and when we feel lonely, it can almost feel comforting to have something on hand. I remember, this wasn't my actual addiction, but I remember that I used to sit there drinking a bottle of wine by myself, because I felt like I could just enjoy being by myself a little bit more. It made it more fun. So it's really important that we have connections, and even if it's just joining A or DA groups, or if it's just coming chatting on here, maybe chatting to different people in different communities, and just connection is key. I think loneliness can really drive us to sorry, somebody's messaging us, can just really drive us in the wrong direction, especially if we've got addictive tendencies. So yeah, I thought I'd chat about that. So one of the things that I found really great about AA meetings, well, DA meetings, because I had drug addiction, was that you would log online, and they've got them all online, so you can join them, and you would just have loads of really inspirational people just sitting there chatting about addiction. And I found that really comforting, just feeling like, okay, I'm not by myself. There's other people who've gone through this, and there's other people going through this. And that was so helpful to my recovery. And the thing with DA meetings as well is you'd also have people stand up and saying really inspirational stuff. They would be telling me the things they were doing without shame, the things that they've overcame and what they're doing now. And I just remember feeling really inspired. And that's something that I found even just doing this online group, is there's people who's coming in and they're telling us a little bit about their story. And I think that's like so great for addiction recovery. And just even for me, who's so far past my addiction recovery now. Like, I'm definitely recovered, but it's just really nice connecting with people. And I think we forget like how important that is just for human beings in general, but especially in recovery. So, yeah. So tonight as well, I was going to talk about connection, but I'm also going to talk about reconnection to yourself. So, one of the best things that I did in my recovery is I started to learn what lights me up, and I started to drop all the masks and facades about who I was and what I did. And I started to think, okay, I've shut out this old chapter in my life. I've got rid of this old identity, the identity of an addict, and now I get to create a new identity. And I get to create an identity as somebody who is recovered. And it's really great. It's like when you start a new school, like you go to high school or you start college and you get to reinvent yourself. But I got to reinvent myself in an authentic way. And it was the first time that I just decided I'm just going to be me, 100%. Because I think the thing is, addiction really humbled us. It humbled us to the point where, you know, I experienced so much shame that I just thought, screw it. Like, people already think low of us. Like, my reputation literally has not been worse than this. So I might as well just be unapologetically me. And I started to do things in a different way. So I started to reinvent myself by finding out what is it that I like, not just doing things to follow the crowd. So that was the first thing. And then I just started doing it. Like, I started this TikTok, which was around doing tarot reading, and like I had certain people taking the mick out of it, and I just didn't care. But I thought, this is what I enjoy. Now, it's not something I've ended up doing full time, but it was just, I went on this exploration of reconnecting to myself and finding out who I am, and deciding that I'm going to create a new identity, one which aligns with my authentic self. And it's just really helped us grow. And I think if I hadn't been humbled by addiction, I don't think I would have had the balls to start doing that. Because I literally got to the point where I thought, like, everyone just thinks that I'm a tosspot right now. Like, everyone's judging us. So if I'm getting judged, I might as well just put myself out there and try and be me unapologetically and get judged for that, because I'm getting judged anyways. So I think addiction was really freeing, and it just allowed us to reconnect back to myself. The problem was, I didn't know who myself was. I didn't know, like, what I enjoyed, what I did, everything I'd done up until the point of coming out and saying I've got an addiction to people was all based around trying to fit in. And the addiction was part of that. It was just kind of numbing myself, enjoying being around people, enjoying a way to enjoy the life, even though inside I was just so uncomfortable in my own skin. I just didn't know who I was. I was a complete people pleaser. I molded myself to everyone. And then on top of that, I was just numbing myself with drugs and alcohol. So I came out and started being authentic, but I first of all had to find out who was the authentic me. And that was a process. And I think that when we're in recovery, we've got this opportunity to reinvent ourselves, but we also need to find out who ourselves is. So yeah, that's a process that I went through. And I started just doing anything and everything that I enjoyed. And I started pushing myself out of my comfort zone as well. So that's another thing. I was so scared to tell people that I had an addiction that when I did that, and then when I overcame it, I kind of got really comfortable in the uncomfortable, because nothing felt as bad as that. Like, any kind of experience that I could possibly have would never be as bad and as shameful as that experience. So I kind of got the courage to start being courageous. And I started off small with little baby steps and just doing things, and just kept widening the circle. And it was really great because I started to discover different things that I loved. And it made my recovery journey more fun. It made it like a discovery recovery recovery journey. I was getting to discover myself, discover what I liked outside of the addiction, and it was really great. So I guess if anybody is on the precipice of giving up an addiction, or they're in early stages of recovery, one thing I will say to you is use this as an opportunity to reinvent your identity. And remember that putting yourself out there and being authentic can feel scary, but literally nothing's as scary as struggling in addiction. So, and carve out a complete new life. Like, you're literally starting a new chapter, and that's really exciting. But excitement is also paired with nerves and fear. You can't get rid of the two. It's the same part of your brain gets activated for a start. But it's a really great opportunity to just reinvent yourself and do things differently and be conscious whilst living. And when I look back on that time, I literally have so much pride for myself, but also it was such a fun time. I started just learning how to be carefree. And I think if you can be intentional with this during your recovery, it makes it feel like less of a slog and more of a new chapter in your life. It's less about, oh God, I've just got to get through another day. Instead, it's like, yes, I get to have another day. What am I going to do with today? And I just did it with in every area of my life. I literally thought, okay, I'm now sober and my life's gone to pot. Like, I literally have, it's almost like waking up out of a dream. This dream where you're under the influence. So all of a sudden you wake up and you're like, oh my God, I'm sober. Or I don't know if sober is the right word. I'm clean, sober, whatever. And you're kind of looking around going, okay, this is my life. How did it get like this? Like, what is even going on? And that can be a really scary place to sit. However, what you can do is you can say, okay, this is my life. Great. What do I want my life to be? Let's try and think about that. And you can start to just mop up every area. So for me, I was like, I actually don't think I've had a relationship that's been very healthy before. I don't know how to be loved properly, and I don't know how to love people properly. So probably should try and get a nice relationship. But first, I'm going to have to learn about relationships. So I started learning about relationships. What's healthy relationships? What's a secure attachment? What's an insecure attachment? I was also looking around and thinking, I really don't like my house. I really don't like it. I've been neglecting it just the same way I've been neglecting myself because I've been knee deep in an addiction. So I started just getting into DIY. I started YouTubing how to do little things and just doing them. And I just was reinventing myself from outward and inward. Like, I started reinventing my house. I started reinventing my relationship with myself, my relationships with others. I just started becoming a complete different person, and it was really exciting and it was fun and it was scary, but it was something that I did anyways, and I'm really proud because the thing is, when you're coming out of addiction, you kind of just face with this fact of, okay, my life is different now. So you can just get swept along and live this different life, or you can start to take charge of it and think, okay, my life's different now. Great. What's that going to look like? And the thing is, when you've spent however long in addiction, you haven't really been in control, and you felt very out of control. So to be able to take that power back and say, okay, now I'm sober, I'm clean, I'm addiction free, so I'm going to be in control, that's really liberating. And just being in control of the little things, being in control of my health, being in control of my house, like I said, like, what do I want my environment to look like? Being in control of how I show up with friends, not just doing things without thinking. Being very intentional. And it's so liberating, and it's honestly the best feeling. Hi, Ivan. Hi. Thank you. That's a lovely compliment. I'm just monologuing at the moment while people join. But yeah, it's just really great to just think that, okay, I've lived this chapter where I've not been in control, I've not been very conscious in what's going on, and now I get to decide to do the opposite, and it's such a great feeling. I'm really good, thank you. I actually came on tonight because I was just sat there doom scrolling, and I thought, why am I doing that? Why am I doing that when I can just go on and connect with other people, be a human and talk to other humans? How are you? I don't know if I'm saying your name right, Ivan or AVN. I don't know if it's letters. But yeah, I just thought connect with other people. Oh, thank you. That's really nice. Nice compliment. Yeah, so I think that's the thing. It's about connecting with other people and reconnecting with yourself. Hi, Taylor. Are you the veteran, Taylor? Because that was on Friday. I feel like you were. I'm noticing some people come back. I don't tell me what to do. AVN. I'll smile if it's authentic. Yeah, Taylor. Do you know? After that session, it's not a session. After that live, I had so many reflections. So there was a situation which happened on Friday where somebody came on and they were getting quite irate. I'm just explaining this to people who are watching who doesn't know what happened on Friday. So this person was getting quite irate and just saying some things which weren't that acceptable. I'm from Newcastle, and I ended up getting like quite triggered by it. I was getting really quite angry because I didn't like what was being said, and I kept trying to get the person out of the group. And there was this other person who was on, who asked the person who I was then choosing to ignore because it would not go away, and just asked them a question. And it was so simple. It's like, do you prefer Crash Bandicoot or Spyro? And this person answered, obviously Bandicoot. Everyone prefers Bandicoot. What the hell is Spyro? I know what it is, but it's rubbish. And basically, Taylor was on, and you just handled it with so much grace and integrity and kindness and compassion for this person. And I came away from it and I thought, oh my God, I was like really triggered. It turned out the person who was being quite emotionally charged, we'll say, was actually going through a really hard time, and they actually took full accountability after this person had diffused it, and Taylor was being like so solid and great, and they took full accountability and they apologized. And then Taylor and somebody else, I know I was emotional after Taylor and somebody else, this other person who diffused it, were being so lovely and then started helping this person. And I came away from it and I thought, do you know what it is? You just don't know what someone's going through. And you know, when somebody's, they say hurt people hurt, it really made us understand that on a whole new level, that, when people are doing things which aren't that kind or can be quite judgmental or whatever, it really helped us understand that actually that person's probably just hurting inside or struggling. And the way that Taylor and this other person handled it, I was just absolutely floored. And I really thought about it it was just really great. I loved it. And we all ended up bonding. But it just shows, one, how much you just don't know what someone's going through, and two, just like how love and compassion just wins every time. And I also learned I need to chill my beans sometimes, because we had this other person who was more emotionally charged, and then so was I was getting defensive about it, and I learned, what it is, I just need to be more like Taylor and that other person. I'm not here to marry anyone. That's not what this is about. But thank you for the offer. I'll bear it in mind if my life goes down the pan. I'll think at least I've got a marriage proposal online. But yeah, it was yeah. I had a lot of adoration, is it, for you, Taylor? You could tell you've done a lot of healing. That was for sure. But yeah, it was really nice actually, the end of the session. But yeah, you really just don't know. So, and I look back on some of the things that I've done in my time, which have been a bit questionable. And, I think sometimes we judge others for how they're behaving, and we don't like to take looks at ourselves. But if we can start to have compassion for how other people are behaving, it helps us have compassion towards ourselves. And if we can have compassion towards ourselves, we can also do that to others. Because I think one of the things with addiction is, not for everybody, but you don't come out of it feeling like the best person in the world. There's always things that you come out feeling not so proud of. And, just in life in general, we all make mistakes. So it's just, yeah. I found online a lot of people try to get people triggered, but they're doing it for a reason. It all goes deeper, but trying to get a reaction out of people is some form of attention. Yeah, definitely. And I have to admit, sometimes, especially if I'm tired, or if it's that time of the month or something, I hear myself, like, if I'm getting annoyed, sometimes it's with my son, like, he's been a little so-and-so, and I can feel myself getting angry, and I clock myself that what I'm saying is just not acceptable. And I don't mean in a bad way, like, I'm quite a controlled person. I've got a good cap on my emotions, but I can feel myself being quite emotional, and I consciously clock myself, and then I just finish saying what I'm saying because I'm just so angry. And I think, that's the healing version of me. I tried to think what I was like when I was younger. But yeah, it's attention. It's like, I can see that the way I'm handling this isn't the best, but I just want to be heard and seen. I'm frustrated, and I want somebody to see my frustration. I want to be heard, even if you're 4 years old and you don't understand what's going on. That's how I feel, and that's how everybody feels. And like, at times when we're just not feeling seen, or we're feeling like the world's against us. So yeah, I get that. I get a lot of people as well making comments, and I'm learning to just let aside. But I think that was a good lesson in that on Friday. I think one of the things that I realised as well, I'd already started to realise beforehand, but I realised even more so after Friday, that I do struggle with judgment. And I think it is something that I've always had. I've always been judged. And I think when I experienced when I told people that I had an addiction and reached out for support, I was so severely judged at the most vulnerable time in my life, and it really, really wounded us. And it's something that I've really been trying to heal. And I think the judgment, I've always been quite misunderstood. And I thought I had done a lot of healing, but I was triggered about somebody else judging you. And I think that was an opportunity to go and do some more healing, do some meditate. Yeah, we're all guilty of it. We're all just human. I think that's another thing as well. We all have emotions. And I think when I started healing, I started to think that I wasn't allowed emotions, that I've just got to learn to not have to be zen and not have emotions. And actually what I've started to realise in a later stage is that emotions actually are very human, and it's just not fully acting on them. Like, an emotion I've been feeling recently that I've never ever felt before, and I don't know why I haven't felt it. I must have really pushed it down, is jealousy. I've started to clock myself feeling jealousy. Just weird little things. I'm like, oh, I feel a bit jealous of that person. And it's really interesting feeling to start getting comfortable with. I must have blocked it down, like pushed that emotion down, because I've got a sister, and I remember being quite jealous of her when I was younger. And then I just never felt jealousy when I was older. So I'm starting to feel it, and it's like, oh, I don't like this feeling. But I'm getting to learn that the jealousy, okay, I'm having this feeling, that's okay. But the jealousy is highlighting to us that there's something in that person that I'm either pushing down or that I'm not living up to in myself. And I've actually been telling my friends, I'm like, oh, I felt a bit jealous of you then. And I said it, and then my other two friends are like, oh, this is a time I felt jealous of you. And it was like this little jealousy exchange. It was really nice. It's still not a nice feeling. Anyway, I'm rambling on. You was just standing up for what's right, shows a lot about you. I just will never be triggered in comments about that because it brings absolutely nothing to me. Yeah, let's be real. The comments were below par. But yeah, I didn't like them. But it was, I really did like the way the person held accountability, and I thought that was like actually really brave of them. And I loved the way that you handled it, Taylor. I just thought you handled it with like, you were so stoic. But yeah, I was quite emotionally charged. What I've learned is when I'm pissed off with someone or something, it's because I'm recognizing something in myself. Yeah, I've realised that. And sometimes it's just recognising that I'm not having boundaries. But what do you mean by recognising something in yourself? Yeah, it was nice to see him do a 180. It really was. It really was. And anger's so destructive. Like, if he had left this being that angry, that would have just been so destructive to him. Whereas connection, and even if it's connecting with people online, is the opposite. It makes you produce oxytocin. But yeah, I'm starting to notice if I'm angry with somebody, I'm starting to learn a lot about these negative emotions. I think anger is something I've been recognizing for quite some time now. And I think a lot of my anger came from being misunderstood, not being seen. I was a massive people pleaser, and I used to get really angry with people because it was almost like I didn't require much, but also I used to receive the bare minimum because that was the standard I was setting, and then I used to feel resentful for receiving the bare minimum and get angry at them, when realistically it was me who was setting the scene for what I felt like I deserved. But yeah, interested to see what you mean by something you're recognizing in yourself. Do you mean that it's like a mirror? Because yeah, one of the things as well that I'm noticing with anger, like when somebody pisses us off, is the anger itself. And I know this from a counselling training, but I've only been integrating in the last year or so. But the anger itself is actually a secondary emotion. And actually, the anger is just covering, it's just fight or flight. It feels productive and it's covering up something different. So I start to try and think, what's the actual emotion? And that might be just feeling sad or lonely or misunderstood or just something. So I try and get rid of the anger. Like, I'm pissed off, like, no, what's actually going on underneath? Because that anger just is a protective mechanism. Yeah. I'm also trying as well to learning to deal with other people's anger as well. That's something I've struggled with. I think I used to be really terrified of when somebody else is angry. It used to be like a big thing for us. I used to think, oh my God, this person's angry. And I used to like feel like my world was collapsing. And the more I'm starting to understand my own anger and hold space for it, the more I'm able to hold space for other people's anger. It's hard to explain. I meant it in when you were speaking about the judgmental stuff. If I'm judging someone, it's because I see some of my own behavior in them, if that makes sense. It makes 100% sense. 100%. I used to be so judgmental of people's body shape, like really judgmental. And I used to think awful things like, oh my God, I can't believe that person's wearing that, with that body type. And I used to think like, oh God, why is that? Just awful things really. And then I started to get conscious about it, and then I was like, oh my God, that's horrible. Like, you're literally like being horrible about people's body shapes. Like, why are you doing that? And then when I started to like really unpack it, once I'd become conscious of it and ashamed of it, I started to realize it's because I really judge myself for my body, and I'm always so conscious about the way that I dress. And I realized I had this thing where I was like naturally sucking my stomach in. It was, so what I realized was actually I'm not judging other people for their bodies. I'm shaming myself for my own body. And then I'm thinking, oh my God, how dare that person have the confidence to wear that, when really I would never let myself be that bold and that brave. So yeah, and I started to learn to love my own body and stop shaming myself. And like now it just doesn't even cross my mind to think that about other people. There's loads of things like that I've realised. Yeah, that's it. It's amazing when you realise it and take a step back from it. Yeah, absolutely. 100%. I suppose what probably would be helpful, because I'm just like psychoanalyzing myself now off the bat of what you've said, but thinking about the judgment, what might be helpful is for us to think about, okay, why might they be judging me? And remember that it's probably something to do with them. So flip it on its head and then just let it stay with them. Because it's not, I don't mind being judged for being authentic or being myself. It's like judgment around being judged for things that you've done, like being judged for your past, I think, or being judged for mistakes you've made. I don't care if people judge me, personally. It's more like if somebody was judging us for a mistake or for being human. So yeah, it's probably because they're judging themselves for making mistakes. But yeah, I like that. Yeah, it is. It's a funny old thing. I think the more consciously aware you become, though, sometimes you just think, God, ignorance is bliss, isn't it? Like, for God's sake, just sometimes it's just nice. I think, like, I actually feel super jealous of people who are just going through the world, being knobheads. I just think, like, it looks a bit easier than what I'm doing. Me and you giving each other therapy here. Yeah, 100%. So I'm not actually taking on working with clients at the moment, but I used to find that a lot, like all the therapy sessions I was doing, I would always come away with it for a new perspective. So I think even though I'd learned stuff like textbook or research and stuff like that, or even healed it myself, because you have to do a lot of personal development to be a therapist, I would find that I would still come away learning stuff about myself. And I think it's quite ignorant to think that like I'm the expert and I'm all healed and high and mighty. Absolutely friggin' not. The universal sharpshooter is where I'm not. So yeah, I think there's a lot of healing just about being open and talking about things. I think that's what I really like about doing these lives as well. There's a lot of people who, you know, like I've learned so much about addiction, but there's a lot of people who say things and I'm still learning. I think that's the thing as well, like with our psychology and stuff, like it's just, there's so many different angles to look at it. So like I really like it because I always come away thinking about things differently. I also, Taylor, I checked to see if you had subscribed to us, because I'm writing a book about addiction. I wanted to anecdote what was spoken about, and I checked it with ChatGPT and it said that I can talk about what's happened online, but I went to see if you'd subscribed to us to see if I could message or something to ask if you wouldn't mind us talking about that situation. Obviously, I wouldn't mention your name or specifics of it. But although legally I can talk about it in a broad way, I just thought it was best to ask. And I was going to wait to see if the other two people came back on. But yeah, I learned a lot from that. Yeah. Talk about anything you want 100%. Brilliant. Oh, hi, Jacob. You're back. Nice to see you again. I'm starting to see some regular faces, which is quite nice. Like a little clan. I subscribed to you on the last live. Oh, thanks. Oh, did you? I couldn't see your name. Oh, was that the one the one on Friday? It didn't come up your name. It might not. There wasn't that. I've got 153 subscribers, I think, and it didn't have. It only had X amount of names, so yeah. Unless it was one you subscribed after Friday, because I go live through the day as well. But I don't think I've seen you on that one. How are you doing, Jacob? Friday, yeah. Yeah, it didn't show your name. It didn't show any of the 3 people who I'm talking about. Cold here this morning. This morning, whereabouts are you, Jacob? Because it's not this morning where I am. Yeah, I'm good. How are you? I'm good. I was just, I've just popped on here because I was doom scrolling and feeling a bit meh. So I thought, why doom scroll when I can sit and talk to real live human people? Australia. Oh yeah, you were saying how you said that this morning, didn't you? Sitting in the sun and going to the gym. Right. What's your plans for today? Other than smashing it with your recovery. You're doing great, by the way. I don't know if I'm allowed to. I keep being in counsel mode where I can't share things. So Jacob's absolutely smashing it at the moment. He's got through the difficult part and he's going to the gym. Job interview in a couple of hours. Good. So before you came on, Jacob, I was saying that because I just natter on until people join. I was saying one of the great things about when you come out of addiction is you're literally closing a chapter and you get to think, right, that identity's gone. What do I want my new identity to look like? What's this new chapter going to look like? You just get to reinvent yourself and do it differently. So job interview, there you go. Reinvention on its way. What's your job interview for and how are you feeling about it? I like job interviews. I'm quite good at them. My dad told us a really good tip actually when I was really young. So my dad, he used to train managers for McDonald's. He's got his own business now. He used to train managers at McDonald's and he was the area manager of McDonald's in Sheffield. So he's got quite a lot of experience with interviewing people. And he told us that if you have 5 things you want to say about yourself that's relevant, and whatever question they have, instead of having to panic on the spot, tailor it to the 5 things you want to say about yourself. It was so helpful. So yeah, and I think when he's told us that, I did a little practice run with him for a couple of hours and I quite enjoy them now. Right, job interview in a couple of hours, concrete precasting factory. Sounds good. Exactly the kind of work I'm looking for, really. So is that something to do with your I don't know what concrete precasting factory is. I imagine it's something hands-on. I think that's the thing. I think, especially lads, do really good with physical stuff. It's really good for you. Yeah, good luck. I second that, Taylor. Yeah, preparing molds. What for? Big things, little things. I'm trying to visualize here. I'm not doing a very good job. I think you'll do a better job than me. I don't even know what you're talking about, to be honest. I'm trying my best. But yeah, so I used to work with veterans. I used to be like head of veteran counselling for an organisation, and I sharp realised like working with lads compared to lasses is two different kettle of fish. Lads need something physical. You've got your testosterone that needs to be put to good use. You need something more hands-on to help with your just life, whereas girls are more emotional. We like to talk. Not that lads aren't emotional, just before someone thinks I'm saying that, but you definitely need more physical stuff in your life. Preparing molds. What was your role with the veterans? So I was just head of veteran counselling. So one of the roles was to assess them in counselling. So basically, just the organisation I had worked with all different clients. So just everything you could think of that would come through the door. And then there was like a veteran, they had a lot of funding for veteran, and they just put us head of that. So I would assess them coming through the door and see what kind of level of counselling they need, so they can get assigned to somebody who had the right level. And then if it was clients, if they came through and they were like a complex case, then I would usually take them on, providing I had space. So I just basically counselling them and assessing them. I think one thing that I found was that a lot of the veterans I was working with, and I don't know if this is representative of all veterans because I just can't speak for all veterans, but the veterans I worked with, often it was the veterans who were going in when they were like 17, so like when they were signing up straight away, or like very young in life, and it tended to be the veterans which were leaving home for a reason. So there was like, it wasn't just things which was happening to them when they were serving, it was what was happening beforehand. And then I think just the transition to Civvy Street, I found was a common thread that they were really annoyed with. I was just constantly hearing about how inefficient we are. Yeah, joined at 17, was in Afghan at 19. Yeah, that's insane, really. I mean, honestly, I think, bloody hell, it's absolutely needed. We need people protecting our country. I've got so much respect and adoration, but it's absolutely insane. Like, your bends, really. And also your brain's wiring. So I think that's the other thing as well. Like, you're getting trained in how to be soldiers, but there's not how do you get yourself back, because you're sort of gearing yourself up for this whilst your brain's developing, which can be problematic, especially when you're dealing with things like Afghan. I work with a lot of people who served in Afghan, and also the Troubles. But yeah, some of the stuff just blew my mind. I couldn't imagine it. I think it's absolutely phenomenal, Taylor, that you managed to get to where you are, honestly. The sad thing is as well, a lot of the veterans I was dealing with weren't getting the right support when they came out. And I know they are now in the army, they're massively up in that. But it was a lot of trouble. And also with drinking as well, like with the army, it's not as the same anymore, I've been told, but there was a lot of drinking because it was so infused into it. Like, is it mess it's called? Yeah, shouldn't send our youth though, really. Yeah, I know, I agree, Jacob. Do you know what it is? So I just think though, like, it's so brave. It's so brave. Like, it's because I'm a boy mum as well. Like, I couldn't think of anything worse than my son saying he's signing up for the army. Like, I'd be so proud of him, but at the same time, God, it's a lot to put on one person. Yeah, hippocampus doesn't develop till late 20s, early 30s in men, and that controls fear and rationale. Young men don't question stuff. Infantry means infant in old language. Did not know that. Didn't know that it meant infant. And the thing is, though, it makes sense because you want your young bucks signing up, don't you? Really, like I do jiu-jitsu now, and like the youngins are lethal, the lethal weapons. They're young, fit, agile, fast thinking, impulsive, driven by testosterone. It's like it's ideal, really, if you look at it from what you need for it. But yeah, and the thing is, though, like you say, I think it is your hippocampus. It's your limbic. Oh God, no, it's not your limbic. Wait there. Frontal lobe. I don't know if that's the same as your hippocampus. Might be. Yeah, but your frontal lobe's not developed. But yeah, it's the thing is, you need people to be acting in a way where they're just fearless, but and not driven by emotion. The problem with that is then when you're doing things like going to Afghan and then you're dealing with trauma, or later having to deal with the trauma that was going on before you signed up at a young age, because really you have to question, why are people signed up at that young age? I know that there's a lot of people who's, it runs in the family, but there's a lot of people you think, why are young lads going and signing up? And it's often because of what's going on at home isn't that great. So then you're gearing them up to not have feelings, and then all of a sudden they're gonna have to deal with this stuff, and you have to feel to heal. So it's a massive job. Hats off to anyone who's doing that job. You included, Taylor. You know what I mean? Yeah, I know what you mean. I know exactly what you mean. Yeah. Younger ones have absolutely no fear. Don't realise it until you get to 30. Yeah. That's the thing, you don't. You actually don't. Some of the stuff that I used to do when I was younger, and now, God, I could do with a bit of youthful fearlessness, though, to be honest. Again, ignorance is bliss. But yeah, I'm starting to get really tired. It's been great talking to everyone. Jacob and Taylor mainly. I think you're the only people who've spoke to us. But yeah, it's been nice talking to you. And I try to commit to going on every day at just after 10, like 10:10, because I like a good pattern and number. So I try and go on at 10:10, but I come on the odd time on the evening when I just fancy it. Yeah, one of the lads from hometown serves in Ukraine. Dave is his calling. You've probably seen him if you watch any vids with Ozzy Taylor. Oh, with Ozzy's Taylor. Dave is his calling. I haven't seen that. I know he's speaking to Taylor anyways. Call sign. Don't watch too much of that stuff at the moment, Jacob. Good luck with the interview, fella. Yeah, good luck with the interview. Smash it. New life. New life. Go out, get it, and just absolutely smash it like you're already doing. Let us know. Pop back on and let us know. Or hopefully you're just living the dream, doing a job and you don't even have time to come on this. Anyway, see you later and speak soon. Bye.